Hey everyone, welcome. What do you guys use for a portable bicycle pump? Do you use a CO2 inflator? Do you use a miniature pump? Do you use a micro pump from Lezyne? Or you use one of these tiny battery operated compressors? Well, here's all the things that we have considered when making our decision in case it helps everyone. And just to jump ahead a little bit, it might not be a clear answer. So let's talk about it. We are a family of cyclists that do road and gravel for fun, okay, and the occasional race. But when it comes to mountain bikes, that is our bread and butter, that is our racing, that's what we live for. Just for context, we usually ride 235 or wider tires at low pressures under 20 psi's. And with that in mind, if I show you a CO2 cartridge, I cannot really show you that without a pressure gauge. And once you think about the ability to adjust the pressure up and down half a psi, you can see how the CO2 cartridge kind of falls off the list as a viable option. It's a one-time shot, it can burn your hands. Then what do you do with the empty cartridges? And at the end of the day, it just can leave you hanging with that one time, one try chance to fix your flat tire. That brings us up to this, the tiny miniature pump from Lezyne. And yes, I have a few versions of this. This is the smallest that I have. This tiny Lezyne pocket drive is pretty powerful, can go up to 160 psi's. If you were to inflate a mountain bike tire though, you will need to pump the heck out of this because it will take a while. And at the end of the day, if you try to have an idea of the pressure in your tire, you're still gonna need one of these pressure gauges to take along with you. Portable solution, long lasting or forever lasting, that I would actually still use if you are to go on those 2-3 days mountain exploration. Another option in the marketplace is using one of these tiny battery operated pumps. And ever since CYCPLUS won an award at Eurobike in 2023, I was intrigued by this option. They have 3 mini pumps today, and only the last one mentions mountain biking as part of the applications. How would you choose between these 3? AS2 is that original pump that won the award. Then they have the AS2 Pro, and the bigger one is the AS2 Pro MAX. And inside you have almost the same items for each and every one of them, starting with this weatherproof little baggie. Then in here, you're gonna see the accessories. USB-C cable, you get a flexible hose to attach to the mini pump. You get the needle bowl inflator. By default, the flex hose is set up for Schrader, so you're gonna need this extra attachment to convert it to Presta. You're gonna wanna use this, especially when you're using TPU tubes with resin valves. We're talking about things like this because the mini pump is gonna warm up quite a bit when functioning. Now, to protect your hands from the heat, you have this silicone sleeve. This is the tiny cube. You have a power button here, so super simple. And if you activate and then double click here, that's gonna turn on the little pump. It took me 1 minute and 20 seconds to inflate my tire to 7 psi's. You can see the battery here being amber, meaning about half. So I would probably have to completely deplete the battery just to inflate one 2.4 inch tire, and that would be to somewhere under 20 psi's. Now the next one up, the Pro, this is the one that actually got my interest initially, because if you look at the size, this is almost identical with the tiny AS2, and on top of that, if you look here on a side, you're gonna see that you will even have a display. You can see the battery charge, also what you're gonna inflate your tires to, and you can use the up and down buttons to change that. Look at the size difference, they're almost identical, and all of a sudden you're replacing these 2 components or parts with just one. The accuracy of this pressure gauge is plus and minus 1 psi, which is quite wide. I'm gonna check it against my trusty Schwalbe 17 PSIs. Here it goes. That was quick. Now, unfortunately, my pressure gauge shows 10.8 PSIs. So let's see how much more I have to pump this to actually get it to 17 PSI. Okay, I turned it off because this shows me 17 PSIs, and by hand, this feels like 17 PSIs. Look at that, 17.3. Trying this without the flex hose, I am setting this up again to 17 PSI. Without the flex hose, I don't know what's going on, as the pump seems to turn off almost immediately as if it reached the pressure already. I assume it has to do with that pump to valve interface. So the Plus, way better battery capacity. You can see here I still have two little lines on the battery gauge, and I have inflated that tire twice trying to figure out what's going on. It definitely looks like I'm getting more consistent results when using this flex hose as opposed to just the pump by itself. So I would recommend you carry this with you. Now the last one they have is quite a bit bigger. Take a look at this. This is called the AS2 Pro MAX, and just like the Pro, it has a display on the back. Same setup, 17 PSIs, same controls here on this bigger pump. By the way, do you guys like this kind of tests? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to know when I'm doing more like it, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It helps quite a bit. So what is going on here? I've been getting inconsistent results from the Pro and the Pro Max, the two with the tire pressure gauge embedded. My explanation is that I've been using this valve. This is a tubeless setup, tubeless valve that got all kind of gunk on it by the end of the season, which is right now. It's a bit sticky. It doesn't look to have any issues holding in the air, but obviously these little pumps have a sensitive pressure gauge. So that's why when I use the flex hose, I get better or more consistent indications, even though the value is not what I was looking for. So let me show you how I tested this. Gravel tires, I usually inflate these to 40 PSIs. I do have a TPU tube installed, so I have to use it with that flex hose. I was pretty quick, battery didn't move, and I've already used this for a couple of tires. And the pressure is 39.3 out of 41, so that's close enough for our use anyway. I also went back to my mountain bike tire. I replaced the valve core with a brand new one, and I inflated it with the Pro Max up to 17 PSIs, and my trusty Schwalbe showed me 14.8 PSIs. So these tiny pumps don't just have a pressure gauge in there, but they also have a clogged valve gauge in there. I don't know about you, but it's pretty important to know when that happens. However, for our low pressure application, I don't think I can fully trust the indication of this tire pressure gauge. I'm gonna have to go back to my Schwalbe each and every time. Is this critical for your guys' application? Plus or minus 1 PSI, is that good enough for you? Let me know in the comments, I would love to know. Out of the three, which one would you use? For me, the tiny one, the Cube, the original, this is just a cartridge replacement and it's not really for mountain biking. But if I am to just go on a road ride, I can fit this in my back pocket, I would definitely consider it. For mountain biking, I would start with this. This is the Pro, and I like the fact that it's only a tiny bit bigger than the Cube or the original AS2, and it allows me to probably inflate 2 tires fully or mess around with the pressure in my tire if I have issues in the field. Finally, this is the Pro Max, very similar with the Pro, but the battery will last longer if I am on a multi-day type of trip. I might consider to get this and the flex hose and add a TPU tube to it, but that still makes it for a super compact little service kit on the road. Do you use something like this? Do you still go back to the good old inflatable mini pump? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys use. Let me know if you have any questions. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, hope to see you folks on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.